Overwatch 2 has a lot of stuff done correctly, but there's already a problem. And it is reminiscent of Overwatch 1's downfall. So if you go back to Overwatch 1, most people say the things that killed the game were the content drought and the meta of the game. The fact that Brig came into the game and created a GOATS meta, then eventually into double shield metas. There were times where you'd play a main tank and an off tank, but no, eventually it was double shield. Most of ranked was double shield. When I played ranked, it was double shield. As a support player, my job was literally heal bot. I know that you can shoot, but when you shoot, tanks yell at you because you're not keeping the tanks up. Tanks are designed to mitigate. That's why they put a mitigation column up there. You got a damage column for your damage players who are supposed to be pumping out damage and getting those kills. You have a support column for healing for supports. Now supports are all supposed to shoot, so it's a little misleading, and now you have a mitigation number for your tank to reference unless you play Jungle Queen, in which case you're not mitigating anything, you're just existing. Overwatch 1 was all about the two tanks mitigating as much as they could. If you were a good tank player, you had the ability to create space in the game and mitigate for your team to an extent that allows even crappy players to proceed on and rank higher. In Overwatch 2, not so much the case anymore, but there's still a problem. Double shield did partially destroy Overwatch 1, and now we have a new meta. It's called double bubble. Part of the problem is that Zarya is just way overtuned for the idea of only having one tank. Her raw damage output, I believe, is 174 damage per second at full charge. That is enough to melt people. You have two bubbles. You can use these two bubbles, and technically you have three. Flats did a really good job of coining how this worked. He said that there was a podcast where he had a discussion with SVB, Samito, and Frito, and he basically said that Zarya doesn't have two bubbles. She has 2.5, and could possibly also be regarded as having three. If you manage your bubbles well, you can enter a fight, opening the fight with a bubble early. By the time your second bubble is used, you may have already charged back up the second bubble again. So depending on how you take the damage, you go in, bubble, your supports top you up, take some damage, bubble, supports top you up, take some damage, should have their bubble already. I'm starting to see double shield back again in a different kind of form. Over shielding. The idea that this Zarya can just W key through a team and just hold left click and you can't really stop her. You can focus fire her, which a lot of professional players, they seem like they just decide to focus fire her down. They just say, okay, let's get Zarya, drain her away, get her bubbles away, and get rid of her. Or a lot of professional play is about killing whatever support is providing the primary support, which is why no one wants to play support right now, because everyone has finally realized, hey, shoot the support player, then the tank dies. And yes, and again, I know I get flamed every time I have a discussion mentioning how the common player plays the game. Remember that I'm talking about the majority of players. I'm not talking about your top 1%. I'm not talking about Super who can actually make Reinhardt work in this meta and stuff like that. Or Flats who can make Reinhardt work in this game. I'm talking about the average player, and the average player looks like they're finally figuring out that support of the target. And that is why the support queue is literally 10 seconds right now. I went in to play some games to record some footage, and I was insta-queuing. I couldn't even tab out of the game to look at another monitor before I was in a game. I understand that Zarya's got a nerf coming, as well as Sombra, which is nated. Genji, which I half agree and half disagree with. I think they could definitely leave Genji alone more, especially because he could technically, when played well, deflect and partially counter Soyorn. But again, you have to time your deflect on her railgun blast, and yeah, she can hold that longer than Genji's deflect. So it's really up to whoever's wielding Genji or wielding Soyorn. They understand that those double bubbles are oppressive. They are lowering the duration of bubble to 2 seconds, and they are trying to dial her back by making the bubbles not come back as fast. Yes, that's going to make it so her average energy is brought down a bit because she's going to have less ability to keep pumping herself back up. But right now, I can keep 80, 100 charges Zarya very easily because everyone's shooting at somebody. Like, there's not a circumstance where there's trigger discipline right now, because a lot of players are being told by streamers just to focus fire as Zarya and like drain her bubbles out and kill her. So when players do that and don't know what they're doing, or they're not coordinated, I get 80 charge and they get beamed down. Zarya was a good call for Overwatch 1, but right now she's overtuned. And the fact that she can just walk around and almost, do whatever she wants, it's reminiscent of Overwatch 1. It's reminiscent of some of the problems that made Overwatch 1 die out in the larger fan base. Now, the monetization problems, I also think, are going to be a humongous factor in if this game succeeds or not. And I hope they have already realized that people don't really want to pay $25 for a legendary skin that arguably has nothing more than a couple voice change lines in it, okay? You gave us a Genji Mythic skin with custom effects, custom glowing sword, sound effects on the skin, dash sound change, every voice, he has a modification to his voice in the game. You gave us this on a $10 battle pass. Arguably, time is money. You have to finish the pass to get the Genji. You cannot put a legendary skin in that shop. That costs twice as much, almost 3 times as much, and expect people to want to buy it, okay? I'm sorry. It's like, in my right hand, I have a tomato. It's the sweetest tomato you've ever had, and it's $3. In my left hand, I have a $5 tomato. I don't really know how it tastes. I've not tried this one. Which one are you going to take? The $3 sweet one. It's so obvious. I don't understand the mentality of the monetization system. And I've also seen people saying it's illegal in Australia because they haven't defined the price of the skin itself. So they can't claim it's a sale bundle if they don't define the item's price on a skin and sell the skin separate for their full price. This patch coming out in 2 weeks, they cannot sit on this for 2 weeks. Zarya needs to be dealt with way quicker than this. And in future seasons, even a right in the middle patch, like 1 month or even 3 weeks, like I guess get a sense of the meta, and you get enough data over the course of those first few weeks. Look at the data, decide for yourself, okay, this character is way too good for everybody. Okay, we got to pull her down a little bit. I think part of the hesitation on Soyorn is that her utilization, her skill ceiling is really high. So all the players that can utilize her skill ceiling are putting up some insane numbers, but the average player base is pulling her numbers down because the average player base is not utilizing her to her fullest extent. Top-down balancing. Because she's insane at the top, gotta do something. And I understand that a lot of players are going to find her unusable in middle to, rank play, but you can't do this. I mean, I think some people have said she looks boring to play in Overwatch League. I kind of agree. I'm sorry. I kind of agree. It's boring. So let me know what you think. Is Zarya overtuned? Do they need to bring up other characters to reach her tunement? Do they need to bring down other characters? Do they need to nerf her? Should she be nerfed harder than she currently is? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'm sure we'll have a civil debate about ranks and utilization and stuff. It's always exciting to see what the internet thinks about topics like this. Anyway, that's it for this time, guys. I'll see you guys in the next video.